On est de retour pour la partie 2 avec Terry Bratwahite, donc professeur à l'université de Coventry, qui a aussi une expertise dans le domaine de la loi, et également qui était directeur d'un centre de danse et de chorégraphie donc à Birmingham. Donc on posait la question, comment est-ce que les femmes elles peuvent accéder à leur plein pouvoir, à leur pleine intuition quand elles vivent dans une société qui est très patriarcale, très orientée sur la domination ou la puissance masculine. Et donc il nous offre une vision très fraîche de comment justement la femme elle peut accéder à ce pouvoir qui est puissant, le pouvoir féminin. So how do we access this feminine power, this feminine energy, not just by talking and by thinking, but also through body movement. So Terry wants to share with us his refreshing and new vision for us, which is new. Yes, Terry.
Right. Now, with regards to the movement, the Trinidad Carnival, which many people around the world deem the mother of all carnivals. Yes, we have carnivals in all countries, different versions of it, Mardi Gras and so on. But the Trinidad Carnival is quite composite. We have different elements. We have the steel pan, we have the calypso, we have the mass on the road, the masqueraders, and so on and so forth. Now, I want to focus and zero in on the movement that you see on the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, both male and female, but the female energy is most apparent when you see a liberated soul in motion. It's just like watching a ball of twine unfurl, and it's moving in such a rhythmic way that you cannot help but just be mesmerized when you see women dance. And their movement, the essence of their movement is from the base of the spine. You would have heard of the Kundalini energy, moving up the spine, moving through the chakras, up to the pineal gland, and in the mind, and which is basically what we call the third eye, you know. And that movement it's unusually it's unusually potent. And I say it in that way because it affects people to such a degree that you see a woman, as we call it, whining, and you might call it gyration of the hips, a woman dancing and letting herself go, her movement, and moving with the rhythm of the steel pan and the voice of the wind and costume, and men just gravitate to her. Now let's move from the carnival into the corporate environment, into the office.
Can I translate this?
Yes, please.
Yes, I love that. Ok, donc je vais traduire ce qu'il a dit. Donc il nous a parlé du carnaval, mais vraiment le carnaval, il en a nommé plusieurs. Il a dit le carnaval Calypso. What did you say, Calypso?
Calypso.
And what else? There were several.
The steel pans.
Steel band, donc ça veut dire c'est-à-dire des instruments, c'est ça, instrument?
Yeah, and the masqueraders on the street. Yeah.
Mascarade, calypso, enfin, il nomme différentes formes de carnaval. Et là, il parle de tout l'aspect cathartique et il dit, on voit comment les femmes, elles sont libérées dans leur âme. Hein, il dit soul motion, donc vraiment l'âme. Et il y a vraiment un aspect qui est libérateur. Et il dit, c'est vraiment captivant, c'est presque hypnotisant de voir ces mouvements. Et ce qui est intéressant, c'est que ça part, il a dit, the base of the spine, c'est-à-dire la base de la colonne. Et qu'ensuite, à partir de la colonne, eh bien, on a toute cette remontée qu'on appelle la Kundalini, jusqu'au niveau de l'épiphyse, qu'on appelle aussi le troisième œil, ou la glande pinéale. Et alors ça, c'est très intéressant, puisque là, il y a vraiment toute une libération. Donc ça, c'est... donc il nous dit, Terry, comment ça affecte les femmes dans la libération de leur âme. Donc vraiment, ces percussions, ce mouvement à partir de la colonne. Et moi, j'ai envie de lui poser une question ici, dire, mais est-ce que ça aussi, c'est pas valable pour les hommes, le fait de travailler sur leur Kundalini, etc. Donc, je vais lui poser la question. Et il dit aussi qu'il y a tout l'aspect costume qui est intéressant. So Terry, I was saying I have two more questions for you. You're saying that is so liberating for women to access this epiphyse or pineal gland, and starting with the base of the spine, but wouldn't that be valid for men also, to open like their third eye? What do you say?
Yes, but you have to understand that in the way nature functions, feminine and male energy must intertwine, which is where we get the yin and yang context. And I wanted to take that into the work environment because I remember many years ago, I'm not quite sure if you were in the class at that time or if I did it with students after you, but this is a case study that I asked my students to consider where a woman was fired from her job because she was deemed a threat, a distraction to her male colleagues.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, and why was she a distraction? Because when she walked into the room, her gait, her walk, the way she dressed well, she walked graciously, very much like Maya Angelou saying, you know, and still I rise, you know, and the way her gait, her hips rolled, and you could just see that happening on the streets of Carnival. So she took the Carnival walk into the office, and the men were so distracted they could not work, and therefore she was fired.
Wow.
Now that is an extreme scenario, but it just tells you that reality has, you know, takes so many different shapes and forms when it comes to discrimination against women, discrimination on the whole. But the point I want to make is there is an example of how the liberated soul can be deemed a threat when really and truly the woman was just being herself, being natural, being gracious. And in the context of movement, we can now look at the base of the spine as the foundation for that liberation of the intuition, which is there all the time. It comes out in the work and in the home environment, particularly where you have women as single mothers having to be mother and father, having to be chief cook and bottle washer. But at the same point in time, they're able to cope. And you know something I also told my students, they asked me, who is stronger, man or woman? And I said, well, my perspective, and I'm speaking here from my perspective, that a woman is stronger than a man physically because, unlike a man, she can carry a child for 9 months, cook, wash, starch, and iron, and also do the intimate romantic activities. And she's able, when the time comes to produce that child, the kind of energy that a woman engages in, you know, to get that, to push that child out. I mean, you will be surprised how strong, how much energy that woman is, you know, exuding. A man might be able to lift some weights for about 10, 15 minutes, and he looks that way, built in that way. But you look at a woman, she can also do the same thing. But then carry a child for 9 months, there is no way that you can say, you can prove otherwise, that a woman's strength, inner strength. And when that comes forward in so many different ways, in leadership roles, etc., it's phenomenal. So it's all about threatening, the man feels threatened. And when the man feels threatened, they come together and they basically try to subdue the woman, but they can't go any further than just leave her in a subordinate position. And even in that subordinate position, like a lioness, we all look at the lion as the king of the jungle and so on and so forth. But if the lioness could speak, he will tell you, if the lion could speak, sorry, he will tell you if the lioness doesn't hunt, he can't eat.
Very interesting. So I'm going to translate this. Donc Terry, il a voulu prendre le contexte donc, du carnaval et il l'a ramené donc, dans le contexte de la femme au travail, puisque c'est quand même notre sujet. Et il disait qu'il y avait un case study où il y avait une femme qui rentrait dans le bureau et elle a été licenciée parce que quand elle rentrait dans le bureau, eh bien, tout le monde était perturbé parce qu'elle marchait avec grâce, parce que tous les regards, en fait, elle attirait tous les regards alors qu'elle était simplement elle-même. Donc, quand une femme, elle s'assoit dans sa position, dans son corps, eh bien, c'est aussi une menace et donc ils l'ont renvoyée. Donc ça, c'est pour montrer comment la femme libérée dans le monde du travail, ça peut être aussi perçu comme une menace pour la gente masculine. Il a également parlé une femme, pour lui, il a dit selon ma perspective, une femme elle est forcément plus forte qu'un homme, puisque pouvoir porter un enfant pendant 9 mois, plus continuer à gérer la maison, plus continuer à avoir des relations romantiques avec son partenaire, c'est vraiment c'est une force incroyable qu'il faut générer pour y arriver. Et les mâles, donc les hommes, peuvent se sentir menacés par cette force féminine, donc ils essayent de mettre la femme dans une position de subordination. Mais ils pourront jamais complètement y arriver parce que voilà, même si la mettent dans des rôles de position pas complètement où elle peut s'épanouir, elle arrivera quand même à faire des choses extraordinaires. Donc voilà, ça c'est ce que j'ai compris. Je traduis bien sûr sommairement de ce que Terry vient de dire. So let's carry on. So you say that male just gather together so that they try to subordinate the woman, but they can't subordinate her completely. She can always like sort of display her strength.
Like she will still rise, as Maya Angelou said, you know.
Yeah.
And I think even you look at the political scenario around the world and you will see where women, I give you a perfect example, Barbados, that little island in the Caribbean, the Prime Minister, the Honorable Mayor Motley, she's now really taking the whole Caribbean region forward, not just on the scene with regards to climate change, but Barbados has just become a republic. And Barbados was once known as Little England. And she has taken that country, you know, forward in leaps and bounds. I see many women leaders around the world doing the same thing. But this is where we talk about what you said, impediments. They also have a system within which they must work. And that system was created by men. And you will find, and this is something I talk to my female students and I say to them, yes, you have a system within which you need to work, but at the same point in time, you must try to establish yourself as an independent thinker, because the system that has been set up by men, don't try to compete with the man. Men have set the system up so that they compete amongst themselves. You are thinking that for me to get into the boardroom, I need to dress like a man. I need to act like a man, be as, you know, aggressive and you see.
Strength.
Well, not so much strength, but I would say lack of compassion, because that is the strength that I would think women, they carry with them within. Where when they discard that or dismiss it, you know, and try to replace it with a certain degree of, I am strong and I'm rational in my thinking, and therefore anything that is emotionally tinged is deemed weak. Anything that is considered, you know, rational and hard logic, as they call it, you know, hard decision making, hardcore, that is considered good, masculine, strong. That's an illusion, because if you look at the wind when it blows, and it blows against you know, a branch or weed, if that branch or weed stays stiff, what is going to happen? It's going to break.
Yeah.
But if it bends like the bamboo, you know, you notice the bamboo bends with it, then that is where the bamboo survives. Another thing, Bruce Lee, he said, be like water. And women are like that. Be like water. You put water in any jar, any size, any shape, and it's accommodating. You know, so you this rational, hardcore, strong, firm, stiff ideology. It's not really and truly the essence of strength.
Yeah, I'm going to translate this. Thank you, Terry. Donc Terry nous dit que, alors je vais essayer de reprendre point par point ce que j'ai noté. Alors, je reprends ce qu'il a dit à la fin, c'est que finalement, les caractéristiques purement masculines, c'est-à-dire le fait de prendre des décisions basées sur l'aspect cérébral, tout ce qui est logique, rationnel, finalement, ça, c'est comme un petit peu le chêne et le roseau. Plus on sera dans cette espèce de rigidité et dès qu'il y a un problème, eh bien, ça casse. Alors que quand on est plutôt sur le roseau qui est souple, eh bien, on peut être beaucoup plus adaptable. Donc, en fait, il oppose un petit peu ces deux notions-là en prenant l'analogie du chêne et du roseau qu'on connaît bien. Et finalement, c'est ce que les femmes peuvent apporter à la société, c'est cette notion de roseau, c'est-à-dire qu'elles ont une structure, mais elles ont aussi toute cette souplesse qui fait qu'elles peuvent s'adapter et qu'elles peuvent apporter aussi une vision innovante. Yeah, so I was just maybe, you know, I'm doing a kind of parallel, but you have some men who are like, you know, very supple and they're more not so much like hard fact in their mind. So could we label this men like more feminine, or are you just saying, no, this is just the energy that we have within ourselves, like male and female? How would you say?
They have recognized their feminine energy much more than the man who, whether it's environmental, because we're not born that way. I must tell you that. We're not all born with this hardcore decision, you know, my way must be strong and bang the table. We were not born with that. We are groomed. And it depends on the home that you grow up. You're growing up in an environment where you see a man react to situations in a certain way. You see a man might drink. You might see him, you know, abuse his wife. You may see him kick the dog, you know, and so on and so forth. And that really and truly, that grooming, because all men came from women. Mm-hmm. So you also have to, this goes back to what we talk about the anomaly, where women, with all that strength, if it's misplaced, then they can do as much damage to the earth as they accuse men of doing. And I think I sent you an article where it talks about the relationship between man and woman, where we need to talk a bit more and to learn a bit more about each other. Yes, we want to head to Mars. We want to explore space. But if we spend a little more time talking to each other, we'll realize that where we want to explore, the same concepts that exist in the universal environment, as without, as the Egyptians say, as above, so within, or so below.
Yeah.
Right? And if you and I talk a bit more, we might know each other, we might have known each other for 20 years, but the more that we talk to each other, they say, see me and live with me are two different things. The more that we talk with each other and communicate on different levels is the more that we get to learn that what we're searching for outside of us is actually within us. And I think that in answer to your question, women are more in tune with what is within, that's the female intuition, than men are, because men are very much preoccupied with the competitive agenda.
Is that social? Is that like...
It is social, it is social, it is social, but as I say, charity begins at home and ends abroad.
Sure.
So it is social, but it starts from the psychological foundation, where a child grows up in an environment that they see and they hear what is happening around them, and the children learn by what they see as opposed to what you say. And in a sense too, as you talk about men who are in tune with their feminine side, and this takes us into the realm, for example, of people who are deemed to be homosexuals or gay or whatever. You find that the most talented, most creative people on planet Earth, you check their background and you realize that they are more in tune with their feminine side than those who, see them as a threat.
Sure.
So I'm not making a statement here on someone's sexuality. I'm just saying that when you are in tune with your feminine side, your most creative, you know, the creative you is born again.
That's beautiful. The creative you is born again. So I'm just going to translate that. Alors Terry nous dit en fait que vraiment pour être créatif, enfin quand on regarde les personnes très créatives, c'est vraiment les personnes qui arrivent à toucher à leur énergie féminine, à leur intuition. Et on devient, en fait, c'est comme un renouveau de la création, de la même manière qu'une femme, elle donne naissance. On peut redonner naissance à cette créativité en touchant tout cet aspect féminin. Donc ça, c'est vraiment une belle conclusion. Et puis il nous dit, voilà, as above, so below, ce qui est en haut est comme ce qui est en bas, et ou ce qui est à l'extérieur est comme ce qui est à l'intérieur. Donc souvent, ce qu'on va chercher à l'extérieur, c'est ce qu'il y a à l'intérieur de nous. So Terry, maybe one more word. What would you advise for women? Because like 99% of the people watching this channel are women. What would you advise them to get connected to the intuition? Is there like music, sense, body movement, a story? How can they, I'm talking about those women who like connect to what you're saying, but they say, Terry, I can't make it. How? You tell me like wonderful things, but what is the process, if there is any process? Where to start? Where would you imagine you're like in a, they're coming and see you at a dance therapy session and they say, that's beautiful, but where to start? Music, movement, smelling essential oils? Where to start?
They're all part and parcel of the recipe. But I would say, it's necessary, excuse me, it's necessary to talk about process, but sometimes it can hold us back because, we try to put everything into some sort of recipe as to how it would work. And I look at my granddaughters, for example. I have two beautiful granddaughters, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to be walking into the world pretty soon on their own. But at home, when I give them a hug, or their mom or dad would give them a hug, that's genuine. I love you. That's genuine. There is no guarantee that when they walk out that door and they meet a stranger and they say to that stranger, good morning, the stranger may say, what the hell is so good about the morning? Now, you have no control over that. Sure. How you react to that is what you have control over. So it starts with that understanding, and if you want to call it, what's the process? Get up in the morning, look yourself in the mirror, say good morning to yourself, say I love you to yourself, and look at yourself in the mirror naked. And naked. Stand in front of the mirror naked and look at you, because that's how you came into this world. You didn't come into this world with Gucci and Suchi and all these, fashion stuff. You came into this world naked. And just look at yourself in the mirror. And whether you're, size A or size B, it doesn't matter. Just appreciate what you're seeing in the mirror. And once you appreciate that and you can get to love that self as you are, you can then walk out of the door. And when you meet a stranger who responds to you in a negative way, when you have a smile on your face, you will realize that, you know what? Once you're genuine, once your heart is pure, you don't lose people. People lose you. And I repeat that. Once your heart is pure, you don't lose anyone. People lose you. Okay? So that is what I would say is the beginning. Start with yourself by giving yourself a hug. Saying good morning to you. Saying I love you to you in the mirror, regardless of your size. Big, small, tall, short, it doesn't matter. That is where you are right now. I know many people are working in a gym and so on and so forth to get a better figure and all of that. All of that is, it's helpful with personal hygiene and all of that. See it from that context, because if you maintain a balance with your weight and so on and so forth, those things work for you much more than if you you allow yourself to, just eat whatever, and balance is the most important thing in life, moderation. So you do everything with moderation. So, I'm not getting into people's weight and all of that in the context of criticizing. I'm saying moderation in all things would be important. I take that same lesson on my own account too. As I've retired, I've realized that I'm not as active as I used to be, and I have to start building up, so we all go through those phases. But I'm going beyond that. I'm saying stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself in your birthday suit, and talk to yourself and genuinely hug yourself. That prepares you for when you walk out the door and you meet a world that is overly obsessed with competition.
Sure. That's very, very nice and interesting. So I'm going to translate that. Donc, je disais à Terry, est-ce que, imaginons qu'il y a des femmes qui nous écoutent et qui demandent, mais tout ça, c'est génial, j'aime bien ce que vous dites, mais par où commencer? Alors, Terry dit, moi, j'ai pas forcément une recette à donner, mais ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est regarde-toi dans le miroir et regarde-toi nu. Alors, je lui ai posé la question, pourquoi nu? Il a dit, parce que c'est comme ça que tu es venu sur cette terre, hein, tu es venu nu. Donc, regarde-toi nu dans le miroir et aime-toi toi-même. Aime-toi toi-même comme tu es. Aime-toi comme tu es. Parce que si tu es vraiment, comment on va dire, authentique, genuine et authentique avec toi-même, eh bien, si toi, tu as cette dimension d'authenticité avec toi, mais que tu t'aimes réellement, eh bien, sache que les gens qui viendront pas vers toi, eh bien, c'est très bien comme ça, parce que c'est eux qui te perdent et pas toi qui les perds. Mais commence à t'aimer réellement et aime-toi comme tu es dans le miroir. Si toi, tu te dis bonjour à toi-même dans le miroir et que tu sors dehors et que tu dis bonjour et qu'il y a quelqu'un qui dit pourquoi tu me dis bonjour, c'est pas un bonjour aujourd'hui, ça ne t'affecte pas. Parce que toi, tu as créé cet environnement où tu t'aimes, tu apprécies qui tu es et tu vas pouvoir comme ça avancer dans la vie. Alors il dit aussi tout ce qui est faire de la gym, prendre soin de son corps, ça c'est très bien, mais ce qui est aussi important, eh bien c'est la modération. Et puis c'est voilà, accepter et s'aimer comme on est vraiment avec authenticité. So thank you very much, Terry, for being with us today and for dedicating your time. I know you're very busy, although you're retired, I know you do quite a lot of things. So is there one more word that you would like to say as a conclusion for this beautiful morning and sharing all these ideas together? Anything that you would like to add?
Yes, I saw a video clip, and I think I shared it with you, where Michelle Obama was talking to her husband. And I think they went to dinner somewhere, and the owner of the restaurant asked to speak to Michelle Obama privately. And she spoke with him with the approval of the security personnel with her. And when she came back to the table, Barack asked her, who was the person? And she said, well, she spoke to the owner, and they knew each other from, a very young age. And Barack said, oh, so maybe if you had married him, you would have been married to the owner of this restaurant. And she said, no, if I had married him, he would have been the president of the United States. So you get the idea that woman is the kingmaker. Very much like what happened in Egypt many, many years ago and the ancient cultures. So do not take the woman for granted. Having a woman in your corner makes you a kingmaker.
Wow, that's beautiful. Ça, c'est très joli comme mot de conclusion. Il prend l'exemple de Barack Obama avec sa femme qui vont manger dans un restaurant. Et à un moment donné, il y a un des serveurs qui dit, voilà, le directeur du restaurant aimerait parler avec Michelle Obama, donc la femme de Barack Obama. Donc, on lui donne l'autorisation. Et donc, Michelle Obama va s'isoler avec le directeur du restaurant. Et le directeur du restaurant lui dit, bah, écoute, on se connaît, on était ensemble à l'école. Enfin, on se connaît depuis tout petit. Elle revient à table, elle parle avec son mari Barack Obama. Et Barack Obama lui dit, qu'est-ce que c'était? Elle dit, bah, c'est quelqu'un que j'avais connu. Et puis, on s'appréciait bien. Alors, je ne sais pas s'ils étaient plus ou moins amoureux à l'époque. Alors Barack Obama lui dit, bah, tu vois, si tu l'avais épousée, tu serais directrice de ce petit restaurant. Et elle lui a répondu, non, je ne serais pas directrice de ce restaurant. il serait le président à ce moment-là. Donc, c'est un beau twist à la fin pour expliquer que finalement, c'est la femme qui fait l'homme et que, comme disait Terry, pour un très beau mot de conclusion, la femme ne croit pas qu'elle t'est due, elle te rendra roi et elle te fera un roi. Donc, je trouve que c'est woman is a kingmaker. Je trouve ça tellement so beautiful, so nice. Thank you so much, Terry, for being with us. I'm sure there will be some comments that I will share with you on my YouTube channel. And it's been 20 years, you see, you're still teaching me and I want to take your word and spread it to my community because I think there's a deep insight and it's like an eye-opener, as it was 20 years ago, and it's still an eye-opener. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom, and I hope we'll have other opportunities, of course, if you're willing to have other podcasts like this.
Yeah, you take care of yourself, Margaret. God bless.
Yeah, bye, Terry. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.